All right, so self-storage has been on the rise interest-wise among investors in Montana pretty consistently over the last 5 years. It especially spiked over the last 18 months. What was interesting is that we saw an influx of population movement, mass exodus out of larger markets to Montana, people taking jobs here, doing the work from home thing here before they even had a residence. Then they moved here, found there wasn't any housing, and so they needed more storage. And all of the storage has filled with wait lists. So what that's done to rates there's been a consistent increase in rates throughout 2021. Demand went up. And so some of the interesting things about these figures, we didn't see a big jump in climate controlled units. In my opinion, we don't have a lot of climate controlled demand here yet in Montana. And so any vacancy that we do see in a storage development is typically in those climate controlled units. So we didn't see quite as big of a jump in those prices. But we did see a pretty significant jump in the typical 10 by 20, 10 by 30 units. So I want to point out a statistic that we don't have up here, and as it relates to vacancy and self-storage in Montana. As of Q4 2021, we were 99.24% full in all of the 54 facilities in Montana. Only 39 units were available. We had over 1,054,000 square feet, and anywhere between 30 to 39 units were available at any time. So I think that's pretty incredible for our little market up here. We saw some development across the state, but what was interesting is that we're still not catching up with demand, and so acquisitions were really hard to come by in 2021. We still have acquisitions happening, but typically most of them are happening off market. And they're typically with legacy storage owners who really want to just leave the business in general. They're tired, they spent their whole lives working so hard on building up this great facility, and they're just looking to move to the Bahamas and leave. That's really the skinny part of the market that's really willing to move. So legacy storage owners, some of them are willing to walk away, some of them need a place to go with their funds. With such a scarcity of decent investment product in Montana, it's created somewhat of a gridlock in terms of self-storage acquisitions. So with people interested in entertaining offers, but nowhere to go with the funds. So finding a facility can be a little bit tricky, and they get lots and lots of calls. So if you're thinking about selling, bring it to market. There's institutional capital looking to move to Montana. Work with a brokerage team that knows how to handle multi-offer situations, get you your highest and best number. We know some people. How many shameless broker plugs am I allowed on this? Just one? Okay, that's my only one. But if I'm calling you off market, right, it's because I don't want to compete. And so bring it to market if you're considering it. If you have a friend that's considering it, don't leave anything on the table. As interest rates tick up, this could impact investor appetite for storage, and cap rates may soften a little bit as we move into late 2022. So building materials, I think we kind of touched on this a little bit with industrial. It really impacted self-storage. If you didn't sign your steel contract one day, I think the contractors were quoting bids for, this is good for 15 minutes. You never know, right? So if you didn't sign your steel contract that day, you didn't know what it was going to be 2 days later. So there's a lot of volatility. We had rising land costs, and so we had a lot of self-storage developments that were ready to move forward, press pause. And what that did was existing facilities all of a sudden became a lot more attractive to investors, pushed those values up, those cap rates down. We're kind of hearing that steel may level out here to a more palatable number in the near future. More supply may come on board, and so if you own an existing facility, you may have some competition coming up in the next 6 to 9 months. Okay, this portion of the sentiment survey kind of hits all facets of commercial real estate. So in the next 12 months, what do the general public believe construction costs will do? Go up significantly, probably right. Stay about the same, and then a lot of people were unsure. So I think everybody's getting used to just buckling up, and we're not sure where construction costs will go in the coming months. So with that, thanks for hanging on the edge of your seat while we talked about metal boxes. I appreciate it. Self-storage is a wild ride, and you can all relax now.